Welcome back. Next edition of the Wisefab S550 angle kit. We're going to do an install today. Coffee first. So yeah, today we have our 2017 Mustang Ecoboost Performance Pack Edition. We have a few mods on it already set up for drifting. We've been running the Make It Modular spacer kit for a while, and it's time to do a big upgrade on the angle. You know, it worked great. We love it. It's a fun little mod to do, but the next step is this Wisefab kit here. So there's a few things you need when you go to do this install. One is plenty of tools like the hardware. There's some similar sockets and wrenches that you use quite a bit, but you know, you do need a half decent toolbox. And if you're working on the floor, you're going to be getting up and down a lot. So, you know, just get yourself some nice padding, clean the floor, nice blanket, something like that. It's definitely work. The kit itself, you can watch our unboxing video, comes boxed up really nicely. It's a solid, well put together box that protects it. It's put together pretty much almost fully assembled. You know, there are a few things that you do need when you go to do this, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. So you're gonna have, let's talk about your tie rod end. The tie rod end is not set. When you do install this, you are gonna wanna install both of these with thread locker, and make sure that those stay tight. You definitely don't want to lose one of these guys. Pretty important. And there are some options on Ackerman settings when you do install it into the knuckle. We are going to go with the mid setting. The mid setting, on first impressions, I'm thinking that we're going to probably have to cut a ½ an inch or so off of this tie rod end to get it to work. But we'll cross that path when we get there, anticipating that. With the arm itself, we went over this pretty much, but the arm itself is really nice, and you have 3 holes here for a sway bar attachment. I have to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with my sway bar, whether I run it, whether I remove it, what ends I need on it. I'm not exactly sure. I have aftermarket adjustable ends on it that I believe are, I think they're longer than stock. So I'm not sure how that'll work. We'll cross that path when we get there. So when we put this on the car, really what we're going to have to do is we'll obviously double check that this is tight and that all of our rod ends are straight up and down and not binding. But we're going to have to set our caster angle and tighten these down when we're happy and satisfied. The top hat install is going to be pretty straightforward. There's a right and a left orientation. It's the same top hat for both sides, just which way you kick it. You will have to drill a hole in the top of your shock tower for the coil nut to stick through so it doesn't bottom out. On the passenger side, you have to cut off, grind down the ground nut that's welded to the bottom of the shock tower. Otherwise it'll hit this, it won't let this sit flat. And then relocate that, which we've already done. We'll show you a little clip of that. The passenger side is in there, so we have an idea of what we're going to do to streamline this video for my convenience, making it a little bit easier to film. But as far as that, the same modification needs to be done to the driver's side, which is drill the hole for the shock nut. There's no ground over there. As far as I know, there's nothing else. You just got to do the same thing on the driver's side for the shock nut that you did on the passenger side. Bolt this guy in top, tighten up your shock nut, and good to go. The adjustment, there is no adjustment on this, and it's all in the shock with this little adjuster that I'll show you here in a minute. So moving on to the knuckle. This is going to be your Ackerman adjustment. We are running the 0 pill, which is just a dead center pill. The other ones are eccentric, so they're offset. Depending on which way you put them, they're going to counteract the centering and give you plus or minus on the Ackerman. You will have your lock stop adjustment to set your angle stop so that you don't have any clearance issues with your wheel hitting your control arm or your shock, and your lower control arm mount will just plop right in there. I did when I installed this, I did use red Loctite. This guy has a nylock nut, so not necessary, and so does this guy have a nylock nut. The one thing I did encounter was with my wheel speed sensor. So I'm running the Ford Performance GT350 hub wheel bearing, and it calls for a different wheel speed sensor. So on my factory S550 Ecoboost wheel speed sensor, it had a larger metric bolt that doesn't fit in to this hub. So I have, I always try to keep some old hardware that I take off of different vehicles. I had some. I basically just chased the hole with a tap. The powder coating kind of filled up the hole. And then I took their supplied 5mm spacer, which you see here. See this here? This little guy? This little spacer. And I installed it on the other one after. I would recommend doing this first and just being careful with your wire. It's kind of hard to get in there. If you do want to chase the hole, you should do it on the bench. And yeah, that's my advice on that. So you'll need your 5mm spacer, that's my understanding, with wheel speed sensor. So I have these wheel speed sensors on the website, pitsupplyco.com. There's a right and a left. We got a pretty good competitive price on them. They're going to be cheaper than they're at the dealer, so you save yourself some money. You might have to wait a little bit. They come directly from the manufacturer, but plan ahead. You pick those up, and you can also pick up the GT350 or MagnaRide wheel bearing. It comes with longer studs. And this has just got to be a better bearing. It's a bolt-on bearing. It's a high-performance bearing. It's most likely the exact same bearing that's on the GT350R behind me. So it's built to sustain some load. And it's a quality part. We'll just put it that way. And these are also available on pitsupplyco.com. You need to pick yourself up to them. Same deal. Better pricing on our website than at the dealer. We opted to go pick them up at the dealer because we're filming this during our winter break and they had them in stock, so we went that route. We paid more money. It is what it is. There's something to be said for supply and demand, and these places exist for reasons like that. Sometimes it's really nice to go in, but they're a huge company. If you can support the little guy, we'd appreciate it. Along with these long wheel studs, you're going to need to get yourself some open-ended wheel nuts. So I went with these Dorman wheel nuts. They're longer, they're bright, and they're anodized red. And I just went for the colored ones. My other drift cars, they're standard thread. So, I do have some wheel nuts that look just like that, and I don't want to mix them up. you know, you always put things on finger tight, but man, in the heat of the battle, you don't want to cross thread a wheel stud. That would be disastrous. So while you're on the bench, before you get ready to install, you're just going to need your bolts to bolt the wheel bearing in, and your wheel speed sensor, the little spacer, chase the threads, a smaller bolt in there. You should be good to go. I think it's a 6x1 millimeter. We'll see how that works out. I'm a little confused on where the wheel speed sensor is on this bearing, because when you do install it, as far as I know, I'm a little confused. It just rides on this guy here, so maybe somewhere in here there's a sensor. I'm not sure. We'll find out if I spend all this money for a wheel speed sensor, if it actually works. The other thing I'd like to point out is possibly these bolts have a little chamfer underneath the head. So I don't know if you can see that. There's a little chamfer underneath the head. There's two different bolts. There's one bolt that's for your Mustang GT 350 thread pitch, and there's another set of bolts that are Allen heads, different thread pitch. There's spacers, all kinds of stuff in there that we're not using. So if you're not using the Japanese stuff on your American car, just throw it in a bag, save it for later. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But back to the bolt, there's a little bit of a chamfer, so I don't know if I'm crazy or what, but I think there's a chamfer. And if you look super close at the washer, one side definitely looks flat, and one side definitely looks round. I don't think you'll be able to see that in the camera, but one side definitely looks flat, one side definitely looks round. I'm getting older, so the eyes, you know, yeah, probably the way this bolt looks is how it looks through my eyes. But I'm thinking there's a chamfer, so I would just go ahead and put chamfer on chamfer when you install it. Little attention to detail. I use some thread locker on that. Other than that, I think we've covered it. So, yeah, let's get to the install. What's up, everybody? My name is Justin. I'm from Pit Supply Co. Before we get into this Wisefab install on our 2017 S550 Ecoboost Mustang, I just want to ask if you guys can just go ahead and give me a like, subscribe, maybe leave some comments. It's going to help build my channel up. It's going to, you know, generate some awareness for our website, which is the whole purpose why we're doing this. We recently, in 2024, launched e-commerce store, pitsupplyco.com. We are still, it's always evolving into, you know, more user-friendly website, but all of the parts that we're doing installs on, we're trying to do them because we sell these parts. So on top of, you know, showing support on the YouTube channel, if you want to head on over to our website, you know, there's lots of swag over there you can pick up. We got t-shirts, we got hats, we sell Heatwave safety glasses, which I'll be using. These things are great. I have the photochromatics. These are the extra large vices. You know, try to keep your eyes safe. There's tons of stuff. If there's something that you guys need, you know, just shoot us a DM, team@pitsupplyco.com. Send us some part numbers. We'll see if we can get you set up with what you're looking for. I mean, not only we do drift parts, performance parts, man, if your car just needs windshield wipers, you want some fluids to do some oil changes, you know, you want all the little stuff, I'll sell you some zip ties. You know, the whole purpose of this channel is, one, to have fun, but, you know, trying to get some revenue going so that we can keep up with the expensive world of motorsports, drifting, getting out there having some fun. And we're going to try to give back as much as we can with content, how-to videos, some entertainment stuff as well. So we're just getting started out. I just wanted to reach out and say thanks for watching, and we'd appreciate any support you can give us. Let's get into this. All right, here we go. When you're getting set up to do an angle kit install or any work on your vehicle, you want to be organized. I have plenty of tools in the toolbox over there, plenty of workspace on the benches, plenty of floor space, but it's always nice to get your tools in one spot, especially if you're going to be using them over and over. So in our case, you know, we're trying to stay organized. We've cheated. A little bit of movie magic, but we have cheated. We already did the passenger side. Now we know what we're going to need for the driver's side, and here it is. What you're going to be looking at here is a variety of tools. I don't have the big giant wrenches that you need, so for that I use the trusty Ford wrench. This is by Crescent. It's a bitchin' tool. Opens up really wide, lots of leverage for big stuff. You want to make sure that your stuff's staying tight. You also have you know, a normal size Crescent, like I guess full size, not gigantic. And then I have a nice channel lock that's cut down so it's nice and slim if you need to get into some spots that you can't have the big fat daddy there. Moving on, a pretty small selection of sockets. In half-inch drive, I got a 15 millimeter, a 17 millimeter, let's see, a 21 millimeter, and a 15/16. Hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. We got some impacts, some deep socket impacts here. 17, 15/16, we're cheating again, and 24. So that'll do it for the, oh wait, we got one more here. And we got a 19 on a breaker bar. Breaker bar comes in really handy. The bolts on the suspension are really tight. It's not a giant breaker bar, but it's enough to get better leverage than out of a 3/8. So we're using a 1/2-inch breaker bar here. We have 2 extensions, 6 and a 3. And our handy dandy Milwaukee fuel with the 12 amp hour battery. This thing's the big guy. If you can't get your wheels off with the 6 amp, slap a 12 on there. I mean, this thing's not cheap, but save you a lot of trouble when you need to get stuff off. Moving on, we got, you know, a little magnet in case you drop stuff. I did a couple punches. These will help you line up your tie rod ends or ball ends. A little selection of pry bars just to pry some stuff. Special little deal here. You're gonna hate life if you don't have one of these. This is gonna really help you get in there and pull those clips off, those factory Ford clips. I'm sure they're like that on a lot of other cars, but this will save you a lot of headache. They're already hard enough to get off, but use this and you're not really going to break them. Always a pair of dikes. We got a couple persuaders, a soft one, a little bit heavier. It's like a 2-3 pounder. This is a good guy. What else do we got? Oh, very small selection of wrenches. Got a 17, a 15, and an 8. I think I used this on the ground and maybe on the wheel speed sensor. We also have some 3/8 stuff. So I have 3/8 with the 6-inch extension with a 10 millimeter Allen that we're using to adjust our caster. A 15 millimeter socket. 1/4-inch stuff, 10 millimeter small extension, 1/4-inch ratchet, 8 millimeter socket, nice extension, little head there to rotate, and last but not least, the 10 millimeter. Where is it? I got it right here. If you guys are looking, I have everybody's 10 millimeters in this one. It's like the 10 millimeter of a Holy Grail 10 millimeter. See that? 10 millimeter. Oh. That's about it. Well, not. You're gonna need a drill. So I got a super nice drill set up here. More Milwaukee Fuel stuff. Smaller battery. This works great. Pilot holes. I used one of these drills to drill out a new hole for my ground, and I went ahead and I used a 1-inch hole saw. I had to be super careful getting dialed in on where I wanted the top of that strut tower nut, but I marked it from the bottom, pilot hole, slammed this guy in there. Looks pretty good. When we run it, we're just going to have to make sure that the kingpin angle when it's rotating isn't hitting the sides. If that's the case, we just drop it down and we'll just open it up with a die grinder. Your red Loctite. And I have 2 air tools here. A little cutoff wheel. I use this to get up under there and knock that ground off, and then whatever else I couldn't get off, I just use this to make it nice and clean. Little small flapper wheel. What else? There's one other thing here that I'm forgetting. Nope. I think that's it. If there's anything I missed, I'll definitely add it in the edit, let you know. But for now, this is pretty much all the tools I got. You know, just try to stay nice and organized. It's gonna save yourself some headache. You're working on the ground, up and down, up and down. It's, you know, if you have tools all over the ground, you're putting your knees on them, you're pushing them out of the way, then you're looking for them. Maybe they go under your blanket. I know this from experience. So just try to stay organized. Give yourself a separate section for your tools, separate section for your kit, and just stay organized. It's going to help you. You're going to have a better time doing this install. It's going to be a long install, but when you're all done, you're going to be stoked. Now we're ready to get into stripping the old suspension off. Out with the old, in with the new. First thing we're going to do is remove the inner fender liner. And you see here this beautiful trusty little clip remover. This is the tool for the job. We're just going to get that inner fender well out of the way, give us more room to work, and get after it. There are quite a few clips in here located throughout. There's one underneath you're going to have to get in the front and back, and then they're just spread throughout. So you're just going to want to get your clip remover tool, slide it in there, pop the other one out, then the inner one will just come right out. Just go through and take them all out, and pop the inner fender well right out. In the front, you're going to have a couple of these. I say push to release. It's basically that simple. You just push it in and pop it out. So you see, the reason why we're pulling this out is this is a little bit of rubbing with just the Make It modular rack spacer on here, giving us a little bit more angle. And we had some rubbing on the inner fender well. So most likely we're gonna have a bigger situation with the Wisefab angle kit with way more angle. Just in general, we don't want to be getting into this, and it's going to give us more room to work. Now we're going to take our 1/2-inch breaker bar with a 3-inch extension and a 15mm socket. We're going to break the bolts loose on the brake caliper. After we broke them loose, I'm going to take my 1/2-inch ratchet to remove the top bolt and use an impact on the bottom just to speed it up a little bit. Now we just pull the caliper off, set it on the back of the subframe mount, and just let it sit there. Just don't knock it off. You can be careful. You can use a zip tie to hold this up if you need. Remove the brake rotor. We're good to go. Now I'm going to take my trusty metric crescent wrench. I'm going to break the toe link jam nut loose. We're doing this so we can pull the toe link arm off and get the rubber boot. We're going to try to reuse it on the new angled kit just to protect the rack. Using my trusty metric crescent wrench. Oh yeah, those are really tight, as they should be. After we've broke this jam nut loose, we're going to want to separate this clip, release the boot, cut the inner clamp or zip tie, pull the boot back so that we can get to the inner tie rod. We're just going to grab a set of needle nose pliers, grab this clip, release that, little pair of dikes. I just had a zip tie on there because I've already done the Make It Modular rack spacer, so I've been in there once before. After you do that, you just pull the boot. Now you can get to the inner tie rod. This is where I use my Ford wrench to break it loose. We're going to want to disconnect this wheel speed sensor, pop it out of the clips. 1-2 clips. We're going to take it off of the shock and leave it on this assembly. So now we're going to get ready to remove the lower control arm bolts and the 2 coilover bolts that hold in the whole knuckle and take that whole assembly out. We're going to use a 15/16 on the front, that's what we got, and a 21 on the back. Now we've got the lower control arm bolts pretty much all the way out. We're going to pull the 2 shock mount bolts off to separate the upright from that. And you can use a 15/16 or a 24mm. The bolts going through are knurled, so remove the nut. You're going to want to bang the bolt out gently without messing up the bolt to remove that. After we remove those, we want to take a nice little 3-pound sledge, Give them a whack. Those are knurled. Yeah, oh, that's out. Now we've got our whole lower control arm assembly upright, wheel speed sensor, brake caliper, rotor, all of that out. All that's left is the coilover and the sway bar end link. So we're going to remove that now. So we're going to take a 19 on our impact and hopefully just buzz it right off. Nice. Sometimes it doesn't come off, and you got to get an Allen in there and a wrench. It's a total pain in the ass, but luckily this time we got it off. Now we're going to remove the coilover. I like to just leave one on there and take them off by hand so I don't drop the coilover. And there we go. She's out. So now we got the whole assembly off. There's nothing left on the car about what we need. It's time to start installing our Wisefab kit. The first thing I'm going to start with on the car, I'm going to get a little bit of this fab work done. It's basically just drilling one hole. You take the top hat. There's a special orientation for the right or the left. It's pretty, I mean, I would say it's pretty self-explanatory from the pictures, but if you just grab it and mock it up on the car, it'll give you an idea of kind of the orientation of it. The top of the coilover is going to be facing out and forward, kind of at like a 45-degree angle from the center of the hole here on your strut tower. So yeah, just pull the hardware out. You can eyeball it from the top. Give yourself a little idea what it's supposed to look like. You just hold it on top. You can sort of sight your way down it and think like, yeah, that's where I want to be. Give myself a little mark here with the Sharpie. So I just eyeball it, looking straight down. It's, you know, your eyeballs are pretty good. Just general area. Give yourself a little mark. Kind of know where it should be. Then we're going to go to the bottom. So we'll hold this underneath. Finger tightened in. On the passenger side there's some work to do. You know, you got to move the mount for the ground. I cut that off. I'll do a little insert on what I did there. I drilled another hole. Then I put a smaller nut on the bottom instead of the weld nut. I just put a nut on the bottom. You had to relocate the ground, so I just moved it over just enough. Drilled a new hole, used the same bolt, used the same tab hole, and then slapped a nut on it. I ground the paint down so we get a nice ground. So yeah, I don't know if you can see that there, but that's the nut. Just off the side of that there. Leave a little bit of blue Loctite so it doesn't come loose. And this is the passenger side. There we go. Thought I had a clearance issue there, but I don't. So we have these all in finger tight. No clearance issues at all. Take your marker, go to the bottom, give us a little mark. Now that I have my mark, I'm going to remove this Wisefab top pat. I'm going to get in there with a hole saw. Maybe a pilot bit first, you know, so I don't wear out my hole saw bit. Now we're here underneath the car. We're gonna get our hole lined up, send it. A little bit further off center than I want to be there. Not ideal. Not too happy about that. At first I really wasn't too happy about my pilot hole, but my pilot hole looks pretty good. So now we're going to take that off and send the hole saw through there. Yeah, so just double checking, you know. It's easier to remove material than it is to add material. Just want to make sure that while you're doing this, you know, you're protecting your eyes. I got me some nice Heatwave ANSI rated safety glasses on. They double as sunglasses when I go outside. You get yours at pitsupplyco.com. They're super bitchin'. I would take our hole saw. We're using a 1-inch. Gonna hit it from the bottom. Easy money. Easy money, let me tell you that. I like take a little half moon file. Get some of the sharp burrs out. Trying to do a pretty clean install here. But functional. Same on the bottom, we can hit it on the bottom. Get all the burrs off of there. Now we'll double check our Wisefab top hat. See how we did. It's pretty dang close, you know. Might want to open that up just a little bit, give us a little bit more clearance, but for the most part, you can see, not bad. A little bit off towards the inside, a little bit off towards the inside of the engine bay, but we can open that up with a die grinder, no problem. Keep it nice and tight. All right, as we start our assembly, the last thing we got to do is just clean up the top of our shock tower, make that hole just the right size for our nut on our coilover. So to do that, we're going to remove the old with the old. So we're gonna pull this nut off here. 17 millimeter. And our trusty impact. Make easy work of this. You want to make sure that there's no real load on this. It shouldn't, but you know, depending on how much preload you have on here, you got to be real careful. These things can be super dangerous sometimes, so hopefully you know what you're doing. Just be safe. So we got that guy off. All we're going to do is keep the old stuff together. Depending on what shock package you have, you might want to make sure you have the right spacer to go inside there. We're just going to wipe this top hat down a little bit. There's some dirt on here. We've seen some road use. We've seen some track time. Yeah, this car's done track days at Willow, streets of Willow. We've done a little bit of sliding around. Went to Apple Valley. Didn't have that great of a day out there. We did the old Ecoboost thing that can happen. The car had 70 something thousand miles on it. I don't know what the other guy did to it, but we got a brand new one in there. We're going to take care of it and put it to use. So we got that off. Now we're going to come back over here, pull the Wisefab top hat, strut tower, bolt tube bracket gizmo. Pull this off. Come back over here to our workbench and attach it to our coilover. Make sure it's all the way down on there. You could probably think about using a wrench and an Allen on this, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hit it with the gun gently, be nice about it. And that's tight. So now that that's in there, we got good articulation. We're going to take it back over the car and see what kind of clearance we have, if we have any clearance issues at all. Let's say I'm not mad about that at all. I might come back and hit it a little bit later, but goes right in. Looks pretty good. It's offset just a little bit, depending on. It's gonna move when you drive the car. It's gonna wiggle around when you turn the wheel. So we're gonna leave it like that for now, and we're gonna go assemble the wheel bearing on the knuckle and get this kit all bolted on, and we'll come back to this when we're all ready. Yeah, we got the top hat bolted in, Clearance doesn't look too bad, but we'll come back and revisit this, see if there's any little bit of clearance we want to add to that. Once everything's assembled, you know, there's going to be movement, and with that movement, the top is going to move a little bit. That'll determine how much we need to take off the hole. So shouldn't be too big of a deal just to drop that down and clean it up when we get to that point. The other side looks really good. We'll revisit this side after we get the car all together. Now the good stuff, the lower control arms, you know, I've kind of already set it together. I've got the caster adjustment in a similar spot to the other side. This is preset, so we're just going to set that to the side. And we're going to take the knuckle. First thing we're going to do is the wheel speed sensor. So we're going to take our wheel speed sensor. It's a Motorcraft part, JR3Z-2C205B. This is the driver's side. We have this on our website. You pick this up with the hub, with the kit. You need one for the left, one for the right. So I've already gone ahead and tapped out the hole. I've chased the threads. There was a little bit of powder coat in the hole there, so we've chased that out. We've found ourselves a shorter bolt that won't bottom out on the bearing when you put it in. And we've got our supplied 5mm spacer that we're going to use. So you just take the new wheel speed sensor, stick it in the spacer, little hole there. Take your new bolt that you sourced from your drawer, and you're going to put it in. I'm going to give myself a little dab of Loctite, blue Loctite. Oh, that's red. Don't use that one. Don't use red. Let me get some blue. A little bit of blue Loctite. Don't use red. Sometimes you don't even use Loctite on these things. The bolts are so small. There are times when it'll never come out. But we're not using an Allen head. Typically the problem you use with an Allen head, just not strong enough. We're going to take our wheel speed sensor and get it installed. Definitely a lot easier not on the car. I don't know what I did with my 8mm socket. Oh yeah, we'll use this one. Sitting there the whole time, right in front of my face. Huh. Right in front of my face. Alright, right in front of my face. So we're going to take our 8mm socket and we're just going to put this guy in. Not exactly 100% confident about what I'm doing here, but just going off of what seems to be the path of least resistance. There's a hole. Gonna stick it in there. See, now we got it inside, and it's all flush, so we shouldn't have any clearance issues. You know, just assuming that in the wheel bearing there's something there that picks up the wheel speed sensor. So definitely a lot easier if you're going to run this. If you're doing full race car, you're probably not running this if you run an aftermarket ECU, but we still want the functions of the vehicle. So after we do that, we are going to pull out the spare pills that comes with all these offset guys. We're going to start with a 0 Ackerman setting. So 0 centered up. You know, these are eccentric with little locks on it, so it's going to change all of that. It's something you'll want to get yourself up to speed on. I feel like if you're going straight to a S550 as a brand new drifter, lucky you, dude. But, you know, do your homework, figure it out. I'm just going to start in the middle and go from there. So get that in there for when we go to install it, so it's what we want. Then we are going to take this guy and we're going to take our wheel bearing assembly that you can also pick up from pitsupplyco.com. This is the Ford GT350 MagnaRide setup. Let me grab the part number for you. It's a Ford Motorcraft part. It's a hub. It's FR3Z1109A. It's going to have the longer studs on it. I might have mentioned earlier, you're going to want to pick up some open-ended lug nuts. I got the open-ended knurled nuts. I went for some red ones, so I don't mix them up with my other cars. My other cars are not metric. These are a metric. And it looks to be, you know, pretty dummy proof as far as I can tell. Only one way it's going to go on. So once you get the holes lined up, just flip it over. You can eyeball the holes in there. Take your 4 bolts that are supplied with the kit. And I also mentioned earlier, I think in the unboxing video, that I believe these bolts have a small taper under the head, and I believe these washers are flat and taper on one side. So a little bit of attention to detail. You know, we're not going to torque it to spec, so I don't know how much that really matters. But one thing we are going to do is we are going to put Loctite on this, and I swapped out my blue Loctite for my red Loctite. So let me go get that. Yeah, we're right here. So I'm going to put a little dab of red Loctite. Little dabble do ya, as they say. Right? A little dabble do ya? You have a dabba-doo? You have a dabba-dooski? Oh, I've already made sure that I like the washer orientation I got going here. We're just going to put them all in finger tight before we get them all in. Oh, this one goes in the hole here. So we take our 19mm, our impact, we're gonna go nice and slow. Get them all on there. Make sure we're sitting flush. Then pinch our wheel speed sensor, and we're just going to send it home. Oh, we dropped our socket in there. That's fun. Trusty magnet. Yeah, so let's just get all these tightened up. I believe that's it. So now we have all the parts we need. Edge assembly is done. Ready to install. Man, I'm excited. Pretty simple stuff here with the right tools. You know, if you're organized and you have the stuff where you can find it, not like me looking for my Loctite, which is right in front of me. It's pretty simple stuff. So, and it looks great. I mean, this looks like race car stuff. I got the longer wheel studs on here, and really nice blue powder coating. It's like high-end, high-quality rod ends. Really nice. Simple instructions. So let's go throw it on the car. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is steal this little protective cover off of our old tie rod end. You can see here, this is the Make It modular rack spacer. It's just a little machined aluminum spacer. I don't know if you can see it right there. Yeah, that replaces the factory one. This allows this to go in more. So that's what we're using to get more angle before. Now we're going to Wisefab, so we're gonna have a bit more angle and really good geometry to go drifting. So we're just gonna remove this old nut here, pull this boot off, slap it on the next one. So yeah, here we got this guy. We're going to pull the rod end off, the jam nut off, and slide the boot in. We'll take our boot, just slip it in. Don't forget our little spring-a-dang clamp. And I put our jam nut back on, and then our rod end. So I have a feeling with our Ackerman setting, we are going to be cutting a 1/2 inch off of here, like the instructions say. But we're going to wait. The other side definitely looks towed out, but we're still going to wait. We're going to get it all together and see where we're at, and go from there. So I just bottomed that out on there. This guy's all pretty much everything you need. So now we're going to take this guy and red Loctite, install it on the rack. Just remember, dabble do ya. This guy on here, another little dabble do ya. This guy on here, we'll put it in the car. So we'll tighten this all up once it's in there. I'm going to take our trusty metric crescent wrench. These are special order metric crescent wrenches. They come in metric or standard. Yeah, make sure these guys are good and tight. That's German for torqued. Good and tight. Yep. Hear my human torque wrench going off. Yep, that's torqued. Yeah, that's tight. Alright, so we got that on there. We'll slip this boot on. Get a zip tie on there. Now, we're going to pull our bolts out. I like to put my bolts back where they go so that I don't lose them. It's always a good idea. Makes it easier. You're not running around like, where did I put that? We're going to do our lower control arm first. This is all loose here. You can take your bolt, straighten this guy out so it goes in. I want to grab a alignment punch. Just got to go where you want it. Also grab your socket and just adjust the caster a little bit. There we go. Yeah, now's a good time to tell you, you throw some Loctite on there. I'm a fan of the Loctite. Devil do ya. Oh, devil do ya. So you grab your 15/16 that I'm using for the front. Tighten that down. 21 on the back. Let's hold this guy out of the way. Gently. Good and tight. German. We got good articulation. We'll come back and tighten this all up later. All right, so that's all good and tight. Now we're gonna put our upright in here. Before we get too far into this, we have our really bitchin' camber shims. These go on the top bolt of the knuckle. They slide up and down. You just lift them up, loosen this guy up, slide up and down, and that'll give you more negative or positive camber. So we're gonna go ahead and set those in per what I believe is the recommended setting. We'll just start there. We'll have the same on both sides. We'll come back and adjust as necessary, but these guys, they just slip right in and they'll go up and down. So let's get all this in. So I am also going to run red Loctite on the bottom bolt. Looks like it has a little bit of blue on it, but I'm going to add my own little touch of red. Definitely don't want that one coming out. That's on the bottom, and same deal. Looks like the bottom of the bolt has a little bevel. So put the washer what I believe is the right way. Good and tight. So now just camber shim, little slider deals. We'll get those guys on. Reach for my Loctite once again. Loctite the world. All right, Loctite the world. Get this guy on here. That'll be look like a little bit better angle. I don't know if you can see. Got me. Put these dudes on. These are the knurled bolts, so you're going to only tighten it from the nut side. Oh, we need a deep socket for that. Stand by. Pick one. Yeah, got that knurled in there. So now we got this whole guy set up. We got movement. Yeah, we got some movement now, so we can go ahead and grab our wheel speed sensor and get this guy kind of up and out of the way, hooked up back where it belongs. Kinda back where it belongs. That won't go there. Well, kinda, not really. Alright, so got that all set up. Where are we at? Okay, so we got knuckle assembly in. We're leaving the tie rod end out. Inner tie rods are tight, lowers tight, coil overs tight. What we got floating here is our sway bar end link and toe link. So we can go ahead and slap our sway bar on now. I have an aftermarket adjustable sway bar end link on here. Give ourselves a little bit of adjustability. I don't know if this is something that will run. I know a lot of the pro guys don't run sway bars at all, but we are going to run one just to start out. We're just going to bust this guy loose so we can adjust it. I like to keep these centered as possible so you don't run out of adjustment on one end compared to the other. So just dial it up a little bit. Get her in the hole there. Put the nylock nut back on. And down. It's a 19 millimeter on my end. So maybe we can get lucky and gently hit it with the impact. Gently. This is a really big impact for what we're using it for. I just don't want to get my smaller one. We're able to use that without having to get the Allen wrench out. So that's pretty bitchin'. We'll have to come back and adjust this, but what you really want to do is just find the sweet spot in the centering. So there's really no pressure on it, and you know, it's pretty much center. We'll do that when it's on the ground on the flat surface. So next up, we're going to install the rotor and the caliper. I've got some drilled and slotted rotors. Red Loctite, devil do ya. This is be for the caliper bolts. Another thing, I mean, we don't want anything ever falling off of our car, especially your brakes. So those are pre-dabbed, ready to go. Then we'll grab our caliper. Oh, but first, one thing, you gotta put your caliper on. The brake line's not gonna be long enough, so we're gonna have to revisit this with some custom brake lines that we're gonna make. Maybe we can do that for a separate video, but for now we're just gonna pull them off the car, pull a little 10mm bolt out, bend the hose out of the way just to get it on for now so we can get it on the ground. Move it around. Trusty 10mm. I found mine. Pull that guy out. Save it there for a minute. Pull our brake line out. Grab our caliper. Slip it on the rotor. Hey, look at that. She went on. It's a miracle. One good thing about having angle, you can't see what you're doing. You just go all the way around. We're going to grab our 15. Tighten the caliper bolts up. I'm going to grab my breaker bar. There's a torque spec on it. That's it right there. Yeah, you should use a torque wrench, but that's mine. And my torque wrench. Yeah. There's my torque wrench. Yeah, that's tight. All right. So we got our situated. Brakes on there. Really getting excited about this, guys. Sway bar. Brake line just gonna kind of be a floater for now. We'll revisit that. Now it's time for our toe link. I don't have any clearance issues, so I'm running 18-inch wheels. I'm going to run my bolt from the top down. And if my nut falls off, maybe the bolt will stay on longer, not fall out, go through the wheel. I'll just tighten that guy up. It's going to be a 17 mil. Good and tight. It's looking like we're pretty much all there now, you know. So one thing we're left out with is our stop. We haven't set this yet. That we'll wait till we get the wheels on the car. But man, looking like we got ourselves an angle kit, boys and girls. That's some Wisefab angle. Might throw a wheel on here, just see how close we are on the toe. Maybe get the toe in the ballpark up in the air. If we have to cut the toe links, you know, we'll do that now. And we'll revisit alignment. Let's put the wheel on. So right off the bat, Right off the bat here, it's looking like they're a little bit wider. So this Wisefab kit is gonna make the front wheels poke out a little bit wider. And after installing it, looks like my ride height is quite a bit lower on the droop, on full droop. So not much room. So we're gonna have to make a ride height adjustment and all the things that go along with setting up the front end, setting up your alignment, ride height, camber, caster, toe, all of that. All things that we're gonna do. But for now, let's just get a look. See what it looks like. Using my open-ended knurled nuts. Oh yeah. Look at that. Definitely looks towed out. Towed out quite a bit. So once you do this, you want to check your clearance. You know, I think we for sure would have been rubbing on the inner fender well at this point, but no doubt we're gonna have to adjust our toe, adjust our toe link ends, cut them off. You know, so at this point we're definitely gonna be checking for clearance issues, making sure that our lines aren't rubbing on anything, our brand new wheel speed sensors aren't dangling around. Set our caster, kind of get it in the ballpark. Then we're gonna check our toe. Looks like we're gonna have to cut those rod ends, and you know, go with the recommended 1/2 inch. Not sure if, you know, we change Ackerman if we're gonna need longer rod ends or longer or brand new steering links. It's probably gonna be a thing. But for now, we're gonna start with the recommended setting. We're gonna start in the middle. That's our recommended setting, and see how it goes. All right, so we're back. We're all set up. We're gonna cut our tie rod end down to 1/2 inch. I've enlisted my Milwaukee with a cutoff wheel. I've got a little caliper so I can measure in a 1/2 inch. Grinding wheel to clean it up. I've left the nut on, so you can just take the nut and spin it off when you're all done. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my caliper. So you can use a tape measure, and I'm going to set it for inches. We're going to go to 1/2 inch, which, let's see what that is. About almost 12, almost 13 millimeters, as they say. So we're going to do 1/2 inch. We're going to set it on there. Wind our nut out. Right about there. It's pretty close. Give it a mark with our paint pen. Move our nut back. Here, cut off wheel. Give her a little cut, straight as possible. Clean it up a little bit. We're going to reinstall our rod end. It goes on nice. But then we can use our nut to chase the threads, but we didn't have to do that. So I'm just going to bottom this guy out. Now hopefully when we get it on there, it's going to be towed in. Alright, so I had a little bind up issue trying to put this in with the wheel on. That was kind of dumb. Should have just took it off, but we back. Get our pills where we want them. On here nice and straight. Make sure we get this on there right. All right. So now we have the steering wheel centered, looking like it's already towed in a bit. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and add some tow out to it because we're bottomed out here. That's looking a little better. Get the wheel on. Wisefab. We've got to go back and clean up a few things. I'm going to open up the top of the spring perch there where the nut comes through for the coilover. Just give myself a little peace of mind there, you know, trying to keep it super tight, but I'm going to open it up a little bit, just peace of mind so that we don't have any issues up there. All right, so we've got the Wisefab kit installed on the car. I'm really happy with the install. No real hiccups. I just have to, you know, I just had to go back and cut a 1/2 inch off of each one of the tie rod ends, and what we still have left to do is all going to be alignment stuff, which is set the caster, set the camber, set the stops. The stops they're going to change depending on what wheel we run. Right now we have the factory wheels on, and I have you know, a set of gold wheels that I'm going to put on here. The offset's a little bit farther out, so we'll see kind of what that does to the setup, but you know, we'll have to adjust that. I gotta adjust the ride height. Quite a bit left to do just in setting up the car, but the install, straightforward. You know, you're gonna need to do something about your brake line for sure, and the mods on the top, the strut tower. Other than that, pretty sweet. We got the sway bar hooked up. We'll see what we think about that. We're in the farthest outside hole, so yeah, not too bad. A couple things to tidy up, but huge improvement on the angle, I gotta say, and probably be able to get a little bit more out of it once we get the final setting done for the ride height and all of that. But you know, I just gotta say thanks to Wisefab for making such a great product, and happy, you know, I can be a dealer for them, and we're just going to try to represent this product as best as we can, along with all of our other products that we believe in. We believe that, you know, they're the best out there, and there's still a few other angle kits that I'd like to be able to feature, but we'll cross that bridge later on down the road. But for now, Wisefab in Ford Blue. Thanks, guys. Looking pretty tough on this car. So that's the install. That's what we got. Looking forward to, you know, driving this thing, getting an alignment on it, but mostly looking forward to driving this thing. It's going to be a huge improvement. There's lots of S550s out there now, some S650s out there, and man, guys are just shredding on this car. Those guys are running Coyotes. Well, we're going to see what we can do with this 4-cylinder EcoBoost. I'm not so sure there's anybody out there with a Wisefab kit on an Ecoboost. I think I've seen a few other kits out there on Ecoboost, but I don't know if there's a Wisefab on an Ecoboost. We'll see. Maybe we're the first ones to do it. You know, just have to try it out. But looking forward to driving this thing. Looking forward to aligning it, and looking forward to you guys tuning in for the rest of the series on this Wisefab. You know, even after we get through all of that, we're gonna still have lots of videos here later on down the road with this car. So stay tuned. As for now, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, throw some comments in if you haven't already, and don't forget to drive your car or drift it.